Hey everyone, welcome to Pai's Kitchen. Today I am going to make honey garlic ribs. So deep fried crispy spare ribs tossed in this sweet, salty, sticky sauce. So delicious. It is inspired by my husband's favorite dish from this sort of cheap takeout Chinese place in Vancouver. And I've had it and I thought, you know, this is good, but it has potential. We can make it so much better with better ingredients and some improved technique. So I took it upon myself to work on perfecting it, and I am now ready to share it with you. Let's get started. Let's talk ribs. So for this, you want to get chopped spare ribs, which will come in little pieces like this. Typically, you can get this at a Chinese grocery store at their meat counter. Western butchers don't tend to do the things like this. Now, you can get them already chopped, or sometimes they come in longer strips, which you then just have to separate the ribs into smaller pieces. If you can't find smaller ribs like this at all, you can just get the rack of spare ribs and then separate them into bones. You'll then get larger pieces, which will be a little harder to fry and steam, but that's okay. Like, the result is still the same, all right? So all we're gonna do is simply marinate this with some fish sauce. It's not very Chinese to add fish sauce, but hey, I'm improving upon it. So I put the ribs in a flat thing so that then the fish sauce doesn't pool all the way at the bottom, so all the pieces get easily coated. And this just needs to marinate for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. So do this first and then you go get all your other ingredients ready. So I've transferred the pork into a bowl that'll fit into my steamer because we're gonna steam it first. And that's my first trick that I did to improve this recipe. Usually what you can do is you just fry them raw and then toss them in the sauce, which is okay, but then ribs are naturally a little bit chewy. So what I wanna do is steam them first until the meat is really soft and tender and pulls off the bone easily when you eat. It makes it so much easier to eat. I'm just using a big pot here with a rack, which you can just get at Chinatown for like $2. Whoop. I'm gonna let this steam for about 40 minutes until it's fork tender, and if they're bigger or smaller, just adjust the timing accordingly. Okay? And ta-da! Ooh! So that pork is now beautifully tender. And what I'm gonna do, so this is like a technique that I completely came up by myself. It's a little complicated, but it's so worth it, trust me. I'm gonna remove all the pork into a mixing bowl, leaving the juices and the fat behind, but keep that. That is deliciousness that I'm going to incorporate into our sauce. Okay. Now, before I can do anything with it, that needs to cool, preferably as much as you can. So stick it in the fridge once it's lukewarm because it'll make it easier to skim off the fat once the fat is solidified a little bit. But if you're in a rush, you can just skim off the fat while it's still liquid. But we have time. We're going to wait. So now let's make the sauce that's going to coat our sticky, delicious ribs. So the pork juice, I put that actually once it's cooled down a bit, I stuck it in the freezer to make it super easy for me to take off the fat. So this fat, some of it, I'm going to add to my sauce so I can use that to saute my garlic. Extra flavor. You can just do vegetable oil if you want. Ooh, that pot is hot. Let me turn that off for now. I'm not ready for it yet. And the rest of the pork fat, I'm just gonna discard. Or you can save it for another recipe. This is honey garlic ribs. So the garlic is gonna go in, quite a lot of it actually. We'll saute that in the pork fat until they start to turn slightly golden. Okay, once the garlic starts to turn golden, I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of the pork juice in here. And this is where this sauce gets really flavorful. You can add more if you want. Let's add 4 because we're gonna have to reduce it down anyway. I'm not gonna throw the rest that away just yet. There is another use for that, believe it or not. See, if you didn't have that, you would just have to use water and it's not gonna be as tasty, or you'll just end up having to use chicken stock. Okay, then we're gonna go in with the honey. Of course, this is honey garlic ribs. Some oyster sauce, some soy sauce, and some ground white or black pepper. It's up to you. I'm gonna let that reduce until it's got the syrupy, sticky consistency. Basically, just think what's gonna hold on well to the pork. That's how far you wanna reduce it, keeping in mind that when it is in the pot and bubbly hot, it's a little bit thinner than it's gonna be once it's cooled down. So I find maybe 3 minutes of reducing time is usually enough. So now we get to fry the ribs. So before I fry the ribs, I'm gonna batter them basically. A very thin batter. You want some crunchy coating, helps the sauce stick on them a little bit better as well. But instead of just using water, we're gonna use our leftover pork juice for the batter. So, just about that much. And if for some reason you don't have any more pork juice, you can just use water for this part. I'm just, looking for ways to add flavor with things we already have. And then for the starch, I'm gonna do half cornstarch and half all-purpose flour. You can do just flour or you can do just cornstarch. Cornstarch and flour, I think, gives a balance between a light crispy coating and something more substantial. And then I'm just gonna stir this together. And what I'm looking for is a thin batter, and I'm just gonna add a little more flour as needed to get to that place. A little bit more. And then if you overdid it and then you add too much flour, you just add a little bit more water. There you go. Perfect. Don't want anything too thick, otherwise it's gonna end up tasting like, cheap Chinese takeout ribs where it's like a lot of flour but not a lot of meat. Now, oil is gonna come up to 375. So I'm gonna go in now with tongs, just one piece at a time. So that way they don't stick together. And I find these will take about 3 minutes. Just because the pork's already cooked, you're just looking for the outside to be nice and golden brown. That's it. Which makes it easy. You don't have to worry about the doneness. Go in, stir them around, make sure they're not sticking to each other. It's looking really nice, so I'm gonna take them out. Yeah, that's exactly what you want. Beautiful, just a thin, crispy coating. Bloop. And just for fun, I'm just gonna drizzle some batter into the oil to make some crispies. Yeah, crispies. Who doesn't love crispies? And basically with the crispies, you want to wait until they stop bubbling. That's when they're entirely crispy. Woohoo! Look how beautiful that is. Bonus. We're almost done, you guys. All that work is paying off. By the way, you can steam the pork a day in advance, even 2 days in advance, and just split up the workload a little bit and just fry on the day you're serving. So now these all go into a mixing bowl, make it big so it's easy for you to toss. And then the sauce, I just want to show you the consistency. So it's sort of like a syrupy consistency, not too thick because you want it to spread easily all over the pork. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Toss it thoroughly. Okay, perfect. Now, the quality of the sauce also has to do with the quality of your honey. So if possible, use good tasty honey. I know honey can be a little more expensive, but it does make a difference. I do wonder sometimes at like cheap Chinese takeout places whether they're actually using honey at all, or maybe it's just a tiny little bit of honey and the rest is like corn syrup or something. Yay! Oh, oops. There we go. Just dig in. This one right here. And if you've never had like spare ribs like this before, there's no graceful way to go about it. Just suck the meat right out of the bones. And some pieces won't even have bones, but cartilage. That's the beauty of spare ribs. Oh man. So good. Okay, 2 things. 1, because we steamed the ribs, the meat is perfectly tender. Sometimes if you've had ribs like this, you have to fight with it a little bit to pull it off because the meat isn't super tender. But if you take the trouble to steam it first, it just falls off so easily. Secondly, that sauce is sweet, it's salty, it's garlicky, but it's also really porky because we added that concentrated pork juice from the steaming. I'm telling you, if you've had honey garlic ribs somewhere, try this and you will be exposed to a whole new level of delicious honey garlic ribs. Let me tell you, worth every minute. And the Crispies, don't forget the Crispies. I don't know, you can like sprinkle it on top or just munch on it on the side. So good too. Everything's good. So I hope you give this a try. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. And when you make it, send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to the show, make sure you do so you don't miss a recipe like this. And click the bell icon as well so you get a notification when I post a new video. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time for your next delicious adventure.